Talking about vocational, there is a lot of discussions now in terms of how are people better off, like young people being counseled. Would they be better off getting a college education or better off getting vocational education?
Depends on the situation and the youth, and it really does. I mean, in certain instances, if people have the academic credentials and the ability to go forward and get a college degree, then that's great, and it makes them that much more marketable. They're not able to do that if they're able to get to the community college level. Even that's going to make them more marketable. If not, graduating from high school or getting a GED equivalent, that's going to make them more marketable. If not, if all of these options are not going to work for them, the apprenticeships are also an option. But the apprenticeships, you need quite a bit of math education. I mean, you can't just, it is difficult for our students. They really need to achieve certain levels of aptitude now in order to be competitive in today's work environment.
Well, when you talk about apprenticeships requiring math, what kind of apprenticeships are we talking about?
Even as basic as some of the construction trades. I mean, if you've got to be cutting a beam to, set up a house, and it's got to be a certain length and a certain width, and it's got to have certain, I'm a lawyer, so I don't do much, I try not to do much math when I don't have to. But there are some trades.
I thought that was something journalists
no,
affected journalists the most.
This is my excuse every day. But there are trades like the construction trades for sure, which you really got to be precise on these measurements and understand the weight and the differentials. And I mean, these are jobs I can do. So they really are.
I'm sure if you applied yourself
and
you worked on the math.
I don't know. Some of it I think is lost on me.
I won't go with math. I won't go to the math department.
Oh, you mean there are three of us who will?
Oh, no.
No. Well,
I'm sure they'll have plenty of other folks there. That's right. That's right.
I'm told journalists are journalists because they avoided the math. And better with words.
Better with words than math. Thank you.
So tell me, and we'll set a good example for all of those would-be mathematicians. We do use math. What would you advise people, or what do you find in terms of people coming through job train stores in terms of you at least try to get them to complete their GEDs? And
Yes.
are there some who come in who have college degrees?
There are some that come in that have college degrees, several of them. And I was just telling Kristen earlier, I had a gentleman come in today that signed up for our Project Build Solar program. Believe it or not, he used to work for Cisco Systems.
And what happened?
As an engineer, he was laid off. He'd worked there for 16 years and he was laid off from Cisco Systems, and he hadn't worked in 2 years. So he came in, he wanted to get different skill sets to match what's in the market right now.
So how does one know what's in the market when you talk about retraining?
Do a lot of homework, a lot of phone calls. You just
Calling whom?
calling employers. I just did a technical advisory committee meeting for the Solar Project Build program, and what changes we needed to make to match what's out in the labor market and what we had to change in our curriculum.
So that's for a particular industry, the solar industry. But if you are laid out of work and you're looking for another job, how do you, and you're willing to be retrained, willing to change fields, how do you assess what might be a growing area as far as employment's concerned?
The Employment Development Department comes out with quite a bit, actually, of labor market information. They do trends by various counties, and it's not a perfect model by any stretch, but it's definitely a good indicator. It also tracks jobs in terms of job postings, so it looks at what are the highest number of postings in any one month. Let's say for software engineers, typically the highest one, but there are others as well. It looks at growth in the county. For example, we talked about food service. Even though food service jobs are not very high from a wage standpoint, they are growing in the county. So you can, if you are in a particular area, sometimes you can look at that labor market information and try and understand, where could I go from here and what skill sets I may need to acquire to get over to this industry that might be hiring. And that's where Peninsula Works and Job Train and these various organizations, I think, can be very helpful. They can help you identify sort of where your skill set is and how it may be useful in your industry, or if your industry is not growing, what are others that may benefit from that?
So when you're being retrained, how do you pay the bills in the meantime?
a lot of the grants that we're going for will fund the trainings. And so we'll be able to send cohorts of students through these trainings. For example, the English as a second language that I mentioned. We've got some money for veterans, which for retrofit sort of solar type of work as well. And any money that we get, basically, we channel into these trainings for folks.
Same in terms of job training?
Our training is actually free.
Okay.
Yes, we do 99.9% of our training is completely free.
So how do people live even while they're going through the free training?
Most of them are on unemployment, and they are approved through the unemployment department to take our training programs.
So they don't have to look for a job during that time?
No. As long as
okay.
they're in our 5-month training programs, they do not have to look for a job.
No, unemployment runs out.
Yes, it does.
And so what do individuals and families do when the unemployment runs out?
That's where we hope that the county services can come in and help support them, you know. And they actually start looking for jobs before they graduate.
Okay, now,
So, yeah.
yes, go on.
So, it's like the last month of before they're done with their training, we actually have them start doing job searches. We get their resumes updated. We get all the information they need. We provide them with job leads, so they can start sending in the applications, and hopefully by the time they've completed their training, they will have a job in place.
And they do not have to give you a certain percentage of their first month's salary.
No. No.
It would be nice. They could fund
It would
somebody
be
else
nice.
going through training.